Hey everybody, Pastor Vern with your daily update for November 9th, 2020. It's a Monday. A very kind of interesting Monday. We've had a lot of different things happen over the weekend, and some other things that happened this morning. You stay tuned for more updates. We may be making some significant changes in worship from what the governor just mandated with mass and occupancy of buildings for the next until the end of November. Um, I'll have to get some more information before we know exactly what that's going to mean for us. So anyway, um, that's where we are today with that. Uh, we're going to stay with some kind of fun stuff for a while from the Bible and from the history of God's people. I just want to stay a little more lighthearted for a while before I get into anything very deep again. It's been it's been a pretty heavy time here for a lot of things, for the virus, for politics, for even some personal things that we are going through as members of our church. And so I think we're going to stay with lighter things for a while. And, I think that's okay because we're still going to learn. We're still going to have a chance to touch base every day. And so I kind of picking through some things. And I was looking at some information that I had in customs of Christians. And I think that's kind of a cool thing. Now, there's some of them that I'm not going to get into because they're going to be coming up with the holiday season. There's some things about Christmas, wreaths and Christmas and holly and even New Year's Day and some of those things. We'll save them for closer to the time where we celebrate the birth of the Christ child. They might be interesting little tidbits for that time. So today we're going to start out with one that is kind of interesting to me, and I've talked about it a little bit before with folks, and maybe we'll get a couple of them in here. But one of them that I want to talk about is how we talk about our clergy in the churches. Now, that's kind of an interesting thing when we think about it, because um, most people around here would call me Pastor Vern if they want to use a title. And folks, I'm okay with just Vern, always have been. But the title is a nice recognition of the position that I hold in the church at the current time. And so, why do we call him pastor? Because really, in all my official documents, if you want to call them that. In fact, I was looking at one I have up here in the wall that gives me some rights and privileges within the conference. It's Reverend. It's Reverend Olson, Reverend Vern. Now, and if you go to bigger cities, in a vast amount of places, they do call their pastors Reverend whatever. And that's the term they use. Now, pastor is a little different kind of a term. Pastor refers to relating to the church minister, but also relates to rural life. Did you know that? Yeah. It's a term that was originally mostly used in rural areas. It was a way to teach people in rural areas who had not been exposed to the church for whatever reason. Now, we're talking back a long time ago. A lot of people in rural areas did not have access to a local church. The churches were in the bigger communities, and people, of course, couldn't travel as easily as we travel these days. And so they didn't really have someone who was clergy there all the time. And as the pastors started to travel more, as they started to go into the rural areas to establish ministries there, also, we got to remember that there was a point of time in the history of our church is that the church was a little more focused on folks who were wealthy. And, there were some of these times when you had to buy your pew, when there was a certain social status to be a member of the grand churches in the cities. We have kind of worked our way past that, I hope, for the most part. But this rural meaning for pastor had to be related to shepherd, right? A reverend is, we get this connotation, true or not, that a reverend is this high office that people ascend to in some way. Pastor just seems like, he's or she is one of us that has been picked for a period of time to be in leadership in the church. And, Jesus called himself the Good Shepherd when he went out amongst the people, went out, because you think about the ministry that Jesus did. When we talk about that, he did very little of the ministry, or especially the teaching within the boundaries of the cities like Jerusalem and so on. A lot of it was done in rural settings. And that was a connotation that people knew shepherds were those who were guardians. Shepherds were those who were there 24/7 for their flock. Shepherds were people who were common people, but had been given the responsibility of caring for other creatures, i.e. sheep, and so on. So that's where a lot of this term pastor comes from. And I'm proud to be called a pastor. I very rarely have seen my name with the word reverend unless it's official business. And so I think that fits our lifestyles in our areas. The term pastor is a lot more descriptive and a lot more appropriate. All right. Well, you guys take good care of yourselves. Watch out for others the best you can and stay safe. Talk to you later.